third behavioural preference style is what we call Carey and the Harmonisers. Carey is a very caring, loyal team member who likes to help other people, values relationship. They're driven by that need for fairness and equality, and people take priority over tasks. It's very much about relationships. They don't like lots of kind of sudden changes. They don't like to feel they're letting people down. They try and avoid confrontation because they're always wanting to strive for harmony. They're very kind of laid back, tolerant type of individuals. So for Carey, some of their unhelpful thoughts will be driven by their own thoughts of self-doubt, that they may not be able to cope, that they may end up letting other people down. They'll be concerned about their colleagues, their clients, their managers. They'll be concerned that they might not actually cope and let those people down. If they don't get the work completed on time, who will they be letting down? If they're working from home, the separation from other team members will be amplified in their thoughts, as their thoughts will be around, what if they get stuck? If they have a problem, there's no one to turn to for help. They can't just turn to the colleague sitting across the way from them. They may also have thoughts around the fairness of the situation. Has the work been shared out fairly? Is everyone doing their fair share of the high workload? They may even start to question, is it because they are very helpful? They don't ever say no. So is there an element that actually people are turning to them, they're getting more than their fair share of the workload? Obviously these thoughts, again, very personal, individual to the person itself and their situation. So if you manage a colleague who is a Carey, has a Carey preference, the best way of helping them in this type of situation with a high workload is to first of all remind them of their many strengths and talents and what they actually bring to the work. Reassure them that they are very capable, more than capable of doing the work, and you have every confidence in their ability. Check in with them on a fairly regular basis. Now, this isn't checking up, this is checking in. Just, to reassure them that they're not alone, let them know that they're doing a great job. If they send you something to check or a piece of completed work, try and acknowledge it or get back to them as soon as possible. If you keep them waiting, then this could possibly lead to their mind going into overdrive, and they start thinking that there's something wrong with the work, or have they upset you in some way, annoyed you for some reason. And again, it could trigger and be that real source of stress, as this kind of self-doubts and thoughts about letting you down actually start to kick in. It's important to reassure them and let them know how the work is being distributed, and let them be reassured that everybody is doing their fair share of the additional workload. Don't always assume that they'll know who to contact if they've got a problem. Make sure they're fully aware and feel confident what to do if they should have a problem, and especially if they're dealing with new technology that they're perhaps not as confident with. Who could actually help them in that kind of situation? If you yourself have a preference for the Carey and the Harmonisers behavioural style, you'll need to think about how you're going to change your thinking and focus actually more on the importance of self-care. How by looking after yourself and prioritising your own needs will mean that you can then actually be in a far better place to help and support your colleagues and contribute to that overall team effort. Remind yourself of all the great work and the things that you've achieved in the past. Think about your strengths and your talents and how you can contribute to the team. One of the things with the Carer preferences, they like familiarity. So think about the similarities in the work, the things that you've done previously to the work that you're now being asked to do. It may at first appear to be very different, but the likelihood that when you actually really stop and think about it and look at it, there's actually quite a lot of similarity between the previous work that you've been involved with. And the last thing is take the time out to telephone colleagues for that quick kind of catch up. It just helps to reassure you you're not on your own, that other people are having similar kind of thoughts. And just share ideas of how are you getting on with the work. But it just helps to reassure you that you're not alone.